Light coming out heavy there.
So what makes a good hunter a good hunter? And
it's all decision making. Decision making that can result in life or death. Can leave themselves susceptible to being scouted, to being patterned, and being whacked. Bigger resident bull population. Or that muzzleloader tag is a phenomenal tag too, given the fact that there's such little areas that aren't obvious that people don't know about. E-Scout, before going in there, especially if you're trying to hunt the big bow, you know what the draw odds are. All right guys, Unit 10, draw odds, hunting spots, land issues, and overall hunt strategy. Let's talk Unit 10 land status first. So the Big Boquillas Ranch makes up, I don't know what the exact percentage, 60% of Unit 10. And it's like that checkerboard stuff. If you look on a map, you can access it, but you can't access it year round. And you have to pay for access on the Big Bow Ranch. There's no side-by-sides, no quads. Looks like they renewed their agreement with the Big Bow, so they're still gonna be doing that. You can go on, I think it's like bigbow.com. It's a website where you can find access to the ranch if you draw tags, and it's not bad. I mean, if you're going to draw a bull tag in Unit 10, you want to give yourself every opportunity you can to hunt everywhere you can and scout everywhere you can. That's kind of one of the hang-ups, is you can't really do a ton of scouting on the Big Bow Ranch before your hunts because they just don't allow that, which can go either way. I mean, that could be a positive thing, because that means that if you do find a bull, it means maybe not a lot of people have found that same bull. They're not sitting on that bull. So you want to do your homework, e-scout, before going in there, especially if you're trying to hunt the big bow, if you draw a tag. So I think it's good hunting. I've hunted off the big bow and I've hunted on the big bow personally. And when I've drawn my own personal tags, and I always buy the tag, and it seems like every time you plan something, something else changes. You plan on hunting it and then you kill something elsewhere. So just know that I think it's worth the money from my own personal hunting. I'm not talking about guiding. I'm talking about myself actually hunting Unit 10. So I always buy the big bow passes just because you just want to do it. It's Unit 10 tags, whether it's an early archery, late rifle, muzzleloader hunt, you want to give yourself the most opportunity because you're not going to draw that tag very much. And Unit 10 is known for big bulls, just like Unit 9, for the same exact reason Unit 9 is known for big bulls. Unit 10 touches Grand Canyon National Park. It's got a lot of Indian reservation on its northern boundaries, and a little bit in some other spots on its eastern and western kind of boundaries. So it's got some elk refuge type spots on its northern boundaries. And just given the fact that the big bow is not accessible year round, you can't run cameras anymore, guys are not scouting that year round, it does give way for that more mature elk population, for those bulls to grow a little bit bigger in Unit 10 than they would any other unit, just because of how big the Big Bow Ranch is, and also just the type of country it is. The ranch is one of those areas where it's a lot of real cut up, kind of nasty little ravines and juniper country and stuff that you can't see, huge areas. It's super thick with junipers. So these elk, if they play it right, they can live a couple extra years just given all that information. So it's a spot where elk grow a little bit bigger, and guys really try to target the bigger bulls, and the draw odds reflect the trophy quality in Unit 10. So an early archery elk hunt in Unit 10 is going to take just as many bonus points as it does in Unit 9. We'll get to the draw odds in a little bit later, but it's going to take just as many bonus points. It's not an easy draw for a resident nor a non-resident, and for good reason. And I think it's important to understand that if you do end up getting lucky and apply for a Unit 10 tag with just a few points, definitely take it seriously, because it's not a tag you can draw frequently. Just something to keep in mind as an approach and a strategy for hunting Unit 10. It's a good hunt to throw your chips in if you drew an early archery tag. Try to get some help. Or that muzzleloader tag is a phenomenal tag too, given the fact that there's such little tags they give out in Unit 10, which is different from Unit 9. Unit 10 actually has a bigger resident bull population. Not a, by population standards, but a trophy bull population that lives in Unit 10 year round is higher in Unit 10 than it is in Unit 9. Because you don't have as much migration into the national park as you do in Unit 10, because in Unit 10 they can stay isolated in some of those canyons and have all the feed and water and stuff that they need and not really be bugged and hide and escape hunters from year to year. So it's a really good tag, that muzzleloader hunt, because you can hunt some of those bigger bulls without a ton of hunting pressure, and you don't have to draw and wait for the draw odds to be in your favor quite as long. You wait about half the time for that muzzleloader hunt. You're not guaranteed a big bull by any means, but just the opportunity to hunt a bigger bull, or the ability to have a chance at a bull that could be your biggest bull you've ever killed, that's kind of what you're talking about. So if you're a hardcore rifle guy and you're like, hey, I've got 12, 15 points as a resident, or if you're a hardcore rifle guy and you're like, I've got 20 points, I'm not going to do the early archery, muzzleloader is something to consider, because the muzzleloader laws in Arizona are pretty good for muzzleloader hunters. You can shoot a long range muzzleloader. It's like you're shooting a single shot rifle. It's way more complicated than shooting a rifle, especially after your second and third shot. But it's a cool opportunity, guys, that gets overlooked, especially in that Unit 10, is to hunt that muzzleloader hunt in lieu of an early rifle hunt that you're probably never going to have the points to draw, or in lieu of a late rifle hunt where the hunt quality is going to be diminished because of the tag numbers and the weather and just the overall movements that happen in that late rifle season that push bulls deeper and deeper into some of those canyons where they're still kind of hanging out in some of the friendlier country during that muzzleloader season and could potentially still be rutting a little bit. So that's kind of the game plan for the early archery and the muzzleloader stuff. For the late rifle hunts, it's a tough hunt, guys. I don't care who you talk to. Unit 10 is a tough hunt. Those late rifle bulls are not easy to find. They're in some real cut up country, not in country that's obvious. They're in some steep, nasty stuff, or little stuff that you got to go hiking for. And just be ready for people. There's going to be people driving around. There's going to be people looking around at the same stuff you're looking at, unless you get out there and really do your scouting. So if you draw a late rifle tag, you really want to scout and get out there a couple days before your hunt, if possible. You really want to spend the time to get boots on the ground and hopefully glass up some of these bulls that are hiding out in some of these canyons. The big bow is not the only place to hunt. There's good stuff on that southern edge up against Unit 8, and there's also good stuff on the eastern side. There is good country almost everywhere. Don't look at the country in Unit 10 and automatically write it off because it looks like antelope country. There's quite a bit of antelope in Unit 10. There's some stud bucks that live in Unit 10, but it's always surprising how many bulls are in that antelope country, especially when you spend more time there. So don't write off that antelope country, guys. That's a pro tip. That's a tip that I've personally used for my personal hunting. Don't overlook the grasslands. It doesn't look like much and it's hot, but man, especially on a low moisture year, hunting the water, getting that dialed in, some of these bulls can leave themselves susceptible to being scouted, to being patterned, and being whacked on a late rifle hunt or late archery hunt or an early archery hunt. So just be ready in Unit 10. So just be ready in Unit 10 to do your homework. Be ready to go where most people will not go. If you can't do that physically, just be ready to be creative and have an idea where these bulls are going to get pushed into prior to the hunts, because that's really what it's all about. It's really common. I hear a lot that, oh man, there are so many people. Well, look, if everybody starts hunting Thursday, the day before the hunt starts, they're all going to see the same spots on a map. They're all going to read the same stuff online. They're all going to hear the same things from the same buddies. Like, go to this spot, try this spot. That looks good. Well, it looks good on a map to everybody. It's the bulls that live in the stuff that does not look good on a map. It's those bulls that are pushed into these little areas that aren't obvious, that people don't know about. Or these bulls are just there for a season. These bulls are just there for a couple weeks. Those are the bulls, and that's what you're looking for in your scouting. You're not looking to scout big obvious places because you know you're going to have company. You know there's going to be people there. What you want to do is when you're scouting, and this goes for early archery elk as well, but more late rifle, is you want to get in those areas that you don't think people are going to get into and hopefully find some bulls that you'll be the first one in there. Keep that in mind when you're scouting. That's kind of another pro tip. It's kind of how we go about things if we're guiding clients in places, is that we try to get into some spots that are not real obvious. try to find some stuff that's tucked away, tucked out of there, so that we can really pattern and get a feel of what these bulls are doing. So when it is time to hunt, we can bring our guys in there and hopefully have a little success. Doesn't always happen like that. It's hunting. You can scout and you can plan and you can find these bulls and you can still come up a little bit empty. Something got pushed, a lion came in there, somebody drove a quad right through there, somebody was hiking into a herd of elk. You just never know what'll happen, but you want to give yourself a benefit of the doubt and get yourself in the best position possible to succeed. So hopefully you guys get into Unit 10. You know what the draw odds are. You can plan your hunt. If you're trying to draw on the random, hopefully you guys get lucky. Hopefully the draw odds, the hunt strategy, the mapping helped you guys. I really want to educate you guys. I love Unit 10. It's kind of my backyard, and I've had some personal success there, so I have some skin in the game myself, and I think it's just a phenomenal unit to get out there, get hunting, explore, and have some success off the beaten path too. So, all right guys, good luck. We'll talk to you later.